All right, welcome to the Hunt the Lion podcast, October 19th, 2025. We appreciate you tuning in and joining us. My name is Kerry Alderson. On my left here, for those of you listening, we've got Tyler Alexander. He's a coach and a dad. I should have started with that. He's a dad and a husband. He's a husband first, and he's a dad, and then he's a coach.
My wife does not like when I coach her.
No, exactly. He coaches wrestlers, not his family. We've got another coach, business owner, but most importantly, husband and father, Kelly Sparlin. How you doing, Kelly?
Good. How you doing?
Excellent, excellent. Thanks for taking time out of the training to join us on the pod this morning.
Yes, sir.
And then Taylor Bars, have you killed anything this week?
Negative.
Okay. Sorry. Bad week for Taylor.
Pretty much all out of tags.
Oh, man. That's the only reason. Otherwise, you would have bagged some stuff, huh?
He's helping his buddy Sean right now.
Oh, can you do that? Is that legal?
Yeah,
Cut that from the show.
that's legal.
Okay, I don't know. Okay, and then Sean Randall's, of course. So we are your normal crew here for the Hunt the Lion podcast, and we will be inviting some guests on. We've been reaching out and talking with some guys that we can't wait to have on here with you guys. It's October. We've got, surprisingly, I shared this last time, I cannot believe it, but there are ladies that have tuned in to listen to the Hunt the Lion podcast. Apparently, they were feeling too smart. They wanted their IQs to be dropped down a little bit, I would say. But we do have some ladies listening. I want to talk about a couple of things, hopefully, that might be fun to share with your spouse. We're going to talk about testimony this week, some things that built up your faith. Give some practical examples of how to serve and lead in your families. And if we have time, there is one kind of a hot topic going on in Grants Pass that we might get to towards the end. But we'll start with this. Is everything giving fall vibes? Is that how you say it? Giving fall vibes?
Yeah.
Is that how the Gen Z girls say it?
All vibes.
I haven't had a single pumpkin spice latte yet.
Okay. Then you can continue on the podcast, because if you had, you would eliminate yourself from the Hunt the Lion podcast.
All right.
So my daughter this week, it rained at her college in L.A. Biola. She's at Bible Institute of L.A. in La Mirada. And every day she's sending us like, oh, it's 85. We're going to the beach again. Like, class gets out on a Wednesday. She's done it too. She's like going to the beach like every day. So Tuesday this week, it rained. She sent a picture or a video. Everybody's freaking out because it's raining in L.A. right now, like in the middle of L.A. It's still like 72 degrees, but they're putting on beanies, they're putting on jackets, and it was so funny. She's like, everybody's so excited now for fall. I'm like, bro, it's one day of rain, okay? But even funnier, that night, she sends us a video. All the dorm rooms, they've got all the windows open, and all the kids are blaring Christmas music. They're like, Christmas season is here because of a little bit of rain. But with that said, there are a lot of things that come with fall. In my house, I'm going to guess probably in yours as well, you've got the pumpkin patch is on the list of things. And if your wife is like my wife, she's got like a schedule of soups that she's ready to make.
A schedule of soups?
I mean, it feels like it anyway. Do your wives make soup?
Yes, but not a schedule.
Okay. I know Tyler's wife, she has to be doing the bread and stuff.
My favorite is her tortellini stew. It's the best.
Okay. That sounds good. Kelly,
Dude,
does your wife make one?
obviously I have a hard time losing weight, and it's because of my wife and her amazing cooking.
Yes.
So all soups, stews,
Yeah.
chilies,
Yeah.
chili. She makes a lot of chili.
Chili is a good one. Taylor?
Morgan makes some soups. I would say it's not super common, but they have gotten amazingly better. Like, she's becoming an expert cook in the last few years. So.
Okay, I'm going to come back to that statement there because I'm
Good job, Morgan.
I'm reading into that statement. Sean, does your wife make soups?
No.
No soups. Okay.
Nope. Like I
All
said
right.
on the last episode, my wife doesn't cook much. I mean, so we just wing it a lot of the time. We just wing it. Honestly.
Okay. All right. So here's my thing on soup, and I have a feeling you guys are going to agree with this. Soup, I call it dip. Are you with me? Soup is just an accessory, right? Am I wrong?
The broth, for sure.
It's a dip. Like,
you-
my boys are like, Mom, like, this can't be dinner, right? Like, we're dipping a burger in this thing, right? Am I wrong about soup?
My wife a lot of times doubles the meat, and then it's
Okay.
What about like certain soup, like pho. Like, have you ever had pho, Vietnamese soup?
Oh, okay.
What
Okay.
about that? Like, that's not just a dip. Like, that's the whole shebang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
That's why we go with stews, because to be a stew, you got to have a good chunk of beef or pork or something in there. You got to fill it up.
It's got to be hearty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tomato soup is an accessory to a grilled cheese sandwich. It's
Yes.
not by
Okay.
itself.
Okay. I can buy that. I would say probably the chili if it's got a meat in it, if it's got a protein other than just the beans. Okay. All right. Maybe I'll.
If we were in Texas, you'd get argument because chili's not supposed to have beans in it.
Really?
Is what I heard.
What does chili in Texas have if it doesn't have
I
beans?
don't know. I haven't lived there yet.
Okay.
Just straight meat.
Okay. I like that. That sounds good. All right. If you got a great soup recipe, you can share that with us. We would love to hear it. So the other question I have, you guys all have, well, most of you have little kids. What is an acceptable amount of trips to the pumpkin patch during the month of October? Because I used to get like, oh my goodness, how many times are we going to do this? Acceptable amount?
One
Yeah, it's definitely one.
time.
I feel like that's an age bracket thing, right?
Okay.
Because in high school, it's 0 for me, but
Yes.
they go twice
Yes.
because now they drive themselves. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I would say like from 1-year-old to 5-year-old, maybe twice. From 5-year-old to 12-year-old, like maybe once.
Okay. Okay. So Edgewater, we used to have at the end of the year, we would rent the whole corn maze, whole thing, and we would do a giant church thing out there. But what we started to find was it was people's like 4th or 5th time going to it, and it really started to taper off. So the kids go with their school, you go with like your close family friends. So you've gone twice now. If you're like Kelly and I, and your kids were teenagers or whatever, they wanted to go at night and do like the haunted one or whatever, get scared going through the corn maze. I'm like, at that point, that's a lot of money. Number one. Number two, I'm ready for it to be over. So I'm going to go with Sean on this one. I think probably 1 is good. So
Yeah, because we just went with her school, my kid's school, and then Taylor was there, and then Tyler's kids. So there was their one with their school. And then I had a buddy yesterday go to Medford for a different pumpkin patch. I was like, you guys are going to Medford for another pumpkin patch?
Wow.
And it's like, yeah, how many do you need to go to?
I know.
This one's so good, too. It's like one trip and you're good.
And they do a great job. So thank you guys. We're very thankful. We think you do a great job. I would say this too, mamas, if you want to go every day, go ahead. Maybe for the husbands and the dads, I think if they take the family once, that's probably good. Okay. We're in agreement. All
And
right.
then your front porch can only hold so many pumpkins. I'm like 2 pumpkins away from having a pumpkin accident in the morning trying to get out the door to work.
And not only that, some of them are real and some are fake. There's some on the table. There's some on the counter. There's some on the front porch. Which one's real? Which one's fake? This one's kind of green. This one's kind of white. This one's kind of orange. Like,
Do you guys decorate a lot for Halloween?
my wife decorates for fall, but not Halloween.
Right.
Yeah.
So this just kind of brings up a question to me. I don't know if you guys have ever heard or seen that guy Rion, who is the ex-Satanist, who is now the...
I think Taylor talked about him last week, maybe. Yeah, go
He
ahead.
talks about, like, I'm interested to know what your thoughts are on celebrating Halloween and how that works as being a Christian. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes. So last week we
wasn't
did.
here for that.
Yeah, last week you were doing some training with some guys. We did talk about that. If you missed last week's podcast, check that one out because we did talk about how to balance that as a Christian dad. And I think just generally what we all said was celebrate kind of the harvest fall aspect of it. Get some candy or whatever. That's fine. But there is a strong emphasis on that culture of death that we bring up. And so we always avoided that. No skeletons, no like evil things. And quite frankly, our kids didn't like it. They were always kind of spooked by like the bloody stuff,
that's what I get for missing a week.
Yes, there you
Sorry.
go. That's all right. You're keeping America safe, though. We appreciate it. All right. Let's get into some testimony here. I would love for this to be a place when people tune in that they are encouraged by the things that God continues to do. Revelation 12:11, they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. So we overcome by the blood that Jesus spilled on the cross. But what is incredible to me is in Revelation, in this verse, in 12:11, on the same level of that, it says, and by the word of their testimony. So obviously it's Jesus's blood that really leads to us overcoming this world and this life. But right after that, it says the word of their testimony. So how important is it for us as believers to not only, one, be listening and looking for ways that God is moving in and amongst his people, but then also having the courage and the wisdom to know when and how to share those things. And so, Sean, I've asked Sean to share a testimony from this past week.
Yeah, and it says also there in Mark chapter 5, verse 19, it says, "Go home to your friends and tell them what the great things the Lord has done for you." Just like go tell your testimony.
Yep.
But this week, on this show, you guys are probably going to hear a lot of me talking about youth prison and jail ministry because I go in there every week and that's what I do. But this last week, I was really excited to go out, and I fish and I hunt. I really fish, but getting into hunting right now, I was really excited to go set this blind up on this property and go look for these deer. And I had a decision to make. Thursday nights, I always go up to the youth prison, and I sat there, and I was thinking, okay, I'm going to go up there at 5:30 and meet with the youth. Well, I kind of want to go set up this blind, and I'd rather go shoot an animal. That I was weighing the two. Well, I was like, okay, I'm going to go up to the youth prison instead. I'll skip on going up to the mountain and looking for an animal. So I went to the youth prison instead and went in there, and man, I was so encouraged because when I walked in there, 6 youth in this one unit, they just surrounded me when I walked in, and they were so excited to see me. I hadn't been there in like 2 weeks as we were out of town the week before, but they got so excited to see me, and so they all grab their Bibles right when I walk in, and they know that when I come there, we're gonna talk and just hang out. But they grab their Bibles, and we went into a classroom. One of the staff said, "Hey, you guys can use this room." So we all opened up our Bibles, and we were just hanging out, just like I was sitting on their couch with them, like in their home, and we were talking about the Lord for like an hour. And what that did for my soul, man, just totally filled me up, and it was sticky. That's kind of how I explained it. It was like it really stuck to me. Just seeing the excitement on these guys' faces, just us talking about the Lord. Like it says in Malachi, God records there when you meet up and talk about the Lord, he records that. And so for me, it was like I could have been up on the mountain shooting an animal, or when I go fish and I get like the trophy salmon or steelhead, it only lasts for like a day. I used to talk to my dad about this, like the lasting effect of like killing a trophy salmon or a animal. It lasts for about a day, like that adrenaline rush, like, wow, I got this trophy, and then it kind of goes away. Well, when I go in there and I talk to these kids or in the jail and I talk to guys and I just minister, man, it really sticks to my spirit, and it really actually, it's a lasting effect, and it'll go on into eternity. But it really lasts for me, and I got to watch these kids just open their Bibles and be really excited, like that I showed up, and it really means something to them. So 2 of them really wanted a study Bible, so I'm going to come back up on Tuesday night and give them a Bible. But what I'm trying to say is that we have these hobbies and all these other things that we could be doing, which are fine, but when we take the time out and serve the Lord in a certain ministry, man, that it does something way different, and it really fills that void in us that we're looking for. We might think it's in a hobby or something else, but it's not. It's sticky. That's kind of how I explained it, like a piece of gum on your shoe when you're walking through a parking lot and you step on somebody's gum and you're mad. But that stickiness, it really sticks to you, and it's lasting a lot longer than that trophy animal or whatever you're looking for.
What pops in my head when I hear you say that is catching that big fish, it brings happiness, but serving the Lord like that, that's going to bring you the joy of the Lord, and that's just going to stay with you so much longer.
Lasting joy. Yep. Kelly, did you have something to add to that, or am I missing the hand signals here?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I will if you'd like.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any.
Thoughts, Taylor?
Oh, I would just say that it's totally true. Where are you investing your time? This is something I've definitely been convicted of, where it's easy to be consumed by these things because they're super fun and they're super hard and strategic. And I think there's a kind of a longing in most men to do hard things and to be challenged. And I think the Lord has the greatest adventure in store for us if we partner with him in the pursuit of that. So it's, yeah, I would say that's something I'm currently trying to figure out, what is that right balance? Cause I think it's really, it's important to have balance where you get out into nature and, you kind of get away from all the technology and have time to appreciate the things that God has made. And, but also, I mean, as men with families and whatnot, like what is that right balance between, your relationship with your wife and your kids and work and all those things? Cause, there's a lot of men that come home and instantaneously go pursue their hobby in every single extra hour they have. And
Check out.
that's not right.
Check out. Yep. Absolutely.
Carrie, you said something at the meeting we just had about availability.
Yes.
You were talking about availability and for us to be available. And what that kind of struck me too, because my wife and I had just been having this conversation because with our business, the RPG ramping back up now and me doing those things, that's why the last 2 Sundays I've had to be at the range teaching, and it was really like bothering me and her and us that I couldn't be at church and I couldn't be giving my time here. And we talked about availability and how important it is to make sure that I'm not putting, whatever it is in front of to keep my priorities straight, right? Like God is priority one. This is God, right? What we do here is my form of growing in the Lord, being around you guys and that kind of thing. And work comes after that. And that's why, like, I've told my guys, I told them again this morning, I was like, I'm not doing any more Sundays. No more. Like, I'm not doing that. If you want to schedule something on any other day, that's cool. I'll show up, but I'm not doing any more Sundays. But availability gives me the opportunity to focus my time where it needs to be focused, whether that's my wife and my kids or God, or making sure that my priorities are correct.
I love it. What's interesting about that concept is it's so easy. We're like, well, it's just this one Sunday. And it's just this one Sunday. And then, like you said, it's 2 Sundays. And it's quickly, it's like, whoa, we just got off here a little bit. And so what Kelly's referencing is a thing that I just shared with the Game Changers leadership. And I shared it with our pastoral staff a couple of weeks ago, just something that God was kind of speaking to me. And it's really a freeing thing to picture and to think about. There were people that knew during Jesus's day, there were guys that knew basically the Old Testament, the Torah, really, really well, but they didn't have a relationship with Jesus. And the reason they didn't is because they didn't make themselves available to him. And they were not humble enough to hear and learn from him and make sacrifice in their own life to be available. They had all the ability in the world because of the knowledge that they had in their brain. And so what we see is Jesus is like, okay, cool. You know that stuff. I'm going to use these disciples that are following me that have made themselves available. And so for us as men, it's so much more important for us to make ourselves available to God than to really focus on our ability. Now, obviously, God anoints people with giftings and talents. Clearly, that is biblical. But one thing that I think is super, super healthy for us to just remind ourselves is it's availability over ability. And when you grasp that concept, you can make yourself available to things that God wants to do in your life. And quite honestly, like, he ends up giving you ability to do things. And I see so many men just sidelined by this, like, well, that person's got that gifting, or I could never do that, or I could never do this. Man, you make yourself available to God and watch what happens. And what Kelly's talking about is a recognition of, man, I need, for the health of my own ministry, leading my family and my employees and these men, I need to make myself available for God first and foremost. So, Sean?
Right. And not everybody is going to be a part of the ministry that I'm in, but it's only, when you think about it, it's 1 hour a week in 7 days. That's all it is. And then if I go to the adult jail, which I went to the next day on Friday and met with 2 guys that are locked in there 23 hours of the day in their cell. I met with those guys 45 minutes each. So out of the whole week, I spent, 2.5 hours out of the whole week just doing something that was, and I could have spent those 2.5 hours doing so many other things. And it's just being available, like you're saying. If I'm just available. Anybody could go in there. Anybody can do any part of a ministry as long as you're available. I've seen that over all these years. You're exactly right. It's just being available. God will use you.
Yep. And I don't know, you guys might know this number better than I do. I think they say you have like 100 hours, waking hours a week, and how you get to spend those how you want. You're talking about 2%, 1 to 2 hours, 1 to 2% of 100 hours throughout the week. That's pretty easy to do. Taylor, did you want to add something to that?
Yeah. One thing I keep thinking of is one of the philosophers of Plato, Socrates. They talk about
smart guy.
No.
Whoa.
It's they talk about the hierarchy of good.
Yes.
And I think that's really important to establish, because for a long time I think I made excuses for when I was working too much, or putting things that are good kind of over other things that are more important. And so I think it's really important to establish what is the most important, and then working backwards from there. And so kind of, even if you write that down, okay, this is what's most important, and this is how I'm going to plan my week out, because if these things are the most important, then I must plan everything else accordingly. So that's one thing I've been trying to work out in my own life. And
very healthy practice. You guys probably do something better than this, but what I'll do is I'll open a Google sheet and I'll give myself my 10, 20 things I got to do in a day or in a week or whatever. And then I'll give it a level 1, 2, or 3 priority. And then I'll try to make sure that I work through the level 1s and 2s before I can get to the level 3s. And a lot of the level 3s are just the fun kind of interesting things that I want to get to, but it's I got to get through this other stuff first. But it's just kind of a healthy practice that I've found, because I'm probably like you guys. I'm like a squirrel sometimes, just that. And it's dude, focus, get this done. And when I can organize my life like that, and it's God first, and it's what he has for me first and foremost, but super healthy practice. Hey, Kelly, you have some stuff going on with RPG I want to talk about towards the end. So I want to give you a heads up on that, because I didn't get a chance to prep you for it, but you said you're starting some stuff. We had a conversation about some stuff that you have going on. Before we get to that, I did ask you guys before the show started, very simple question. I think it's a good thing that we could be asking our brothers in Christ on a daily basis, not to be like a jerk or judgy. I mean, people kind of get that posture when you ask stuff like this, but almost more just accountability and also testimony. How did you serve and lead your wife and kids this week? We want this to be a place where guys can be like, oh man, that's really good. Sunday's message this morning, very practical thing. Oh man, I need to do a better job of this. Here's what I'm going to do now. So you guys have a way that you were serving or leading your wife and kids this week that could encourage other men, give them an example?
With where my kids are at, being so young, and with my wife, is my time. And as I've pursued the Lord, he's made available opportunities to serve have been abundant. And I'm trying to take advantage of those and follow what I feel his calling is for me.
When you say abundant, that means Carrie is texting you every day. Tyler, can you help with this? Tyler, can you help with that?
I'm sorry. That's a small part. Game changers, and then coaching.
Yeah.
And then starting Bible study with some of my wrestlers.
Yeah.
And so what I've done recently, so I coached the high school team, and then we lost our youth coach. So high school practice is 4 to 6, youth practice is 6 to 7:30. So now I'm splitting it with the other coach of the high school team, and I'm coaching the youth program twice a week as well. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm coaching wrestling from 4 in the afternoon till 7:30 at night. It's a grind. But what I'm trying to do is incorporate my family into my ministries, so I can be there, spend time with them. They can see me serving and leading, and I can lead them. So my kids come to the youth practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 7:30, and that's been awesome. I get to see them. It rejuvenates me for the second practice of the day, and they get to be there. I get to teach them. They get to run around and play, and that has been great. And then with the Bible study we started on Sundays, I was thinking, I had that idea, and I wanted to pursue that. How do I do it? Well, my wife loves to cook for people, and that's how she serves people. So I'm like, let's do Sunday spaghetti night every other week. So she cooked a big old batch of spaghetti. We had 3 wrestlers over with my in-laws and just had a big house full of people sharing food. And then we did Bible study after. And so my kids get to interact with the wrestlers. That's what I have to say that because that's what my 3-year-old kept calling them, the wrestlers.
The wrestlers.
Yeah. And they were getting a kick out of it. So just this week, I just have been really focused on trying to incorporate my wife and kids into my ministry. So I can do both. I can be serving the Lord and have my family with me to see it. And it was really rejuvenating.
That's awesome. I love that. That we followed that same exact model, and ministry didn't become burdensome or weird for our kids. It was expected. It was a way of life. Like, of course we would do this. Of course we would have people in our house. You know, I know Taylor's father-in-law and mother-in-law, same way. It was just a part of life. Like, we're all just doing this together. Our home is going to be an open place for God's kingdom to move. And so that's a beautiful thing. Any other thoughts on how to serve or lead your wife and kids this week? Tyler inviting his whole family in on ministry. I love that. Anybody have anything else to add?
I mean, I only saw my wife and kids probably a total of 2 hours this whole week.
Busy week for you.
I was
you
in
were gone.
Salem
Yes.
from 4 a.m. Monday till Friday. However, my youngest one, I did pick up, and we spent probably 2 hours having a conversation about God.
Love it.
Like, he's 11, and he just was like asking questions and just started poking, and I was like, I want this to go on as long as I can
I love
have
that.
it go on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as he would ask questions, I would try to like steer the conversation for him to ask another one, and then I would steer it, and I would just try to feed that. And we talked for almost 2 hours probably about God and what he believes and the things that he, as an 11-year-old, you know, what does he really think about Jesus and his beliefs, you know, as he's trying to form his own opinions.
I love that. So I think I've probably shared this on here before. It's something that you will hear me say a lot. Deuteronomy 6 is the Shema, and it's one of the scriptures that Jesus refers back to, and it was a guiding scripture for us as parents. Chapter 6, verse 4, every day this would be read throughout the family. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, and the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, diligently. You shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. So you are teaching your kids about the Lord when you sit, walk, lay down, and get up. That is just like, you're always doing this. It is not at 7:15 for 5 minutes before you go to bed. The Shema, Deuteronomy 6:7, you will teach your children these things always, and you shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. So what you did with your 11-year-old is exactly what we are commanded to do in Deuteronomy 6, that again, Jesus also refers back to. So constant conversation, especially when they bring it up. What a great time to just go with it. Instead, now you can have like at 7:15, you're going to bed at 7:30. We're going to read our Bibles. I would highly, highly recommend having a devoted time for that. But then also, like you're doing, Kelly, when it comes up, when you're driving in the car, when they're asking the questions, that's when you get the really good stuff.
Also, one other thing I did with my older kids, because I only saw them like maybe an hour, is I challenged them for an entire week, no secular music at all, Christian music only, and see how they change and how
That's
they
awesome.
feel.
Yeah.
And when I first brought that up, the pushback I got was pretty intense. They
Oh,
were
yeah.
like, what?
Yeah.
And they were like, how am I supposed to get hyped for my football?
I got a game
Listen-
Friday night, Dad. You know the playlist.
Yeah. And I was like, that's exactly why. I was like, you should be able to get hyped for a game without that.
Yep.
Right? Like, you should be able to internalize and motivate yourself to do that without some external. And they agreed. So we're gonna see
100%.
how this works.
100%. Yeah, I love that. Interesting. I think God challenged me. We all have the playlist, it's the last set. You're trying to get like more reps or whatever it is. And I got like the 90s rock or whatever. Like, okay, my folder is just the last set. That's what it's called, the last set. And one day I was like, maybe it had to be God, just kind of whispering that concept to me. Do you think like you can't do this without me leading? And I put on just some super chill praise music. I mean, it wasn't like hype, pump you up. It was super chill. And I didn't have like, I wasn't jumping up and down and slapping myself in the face or any of that stuff. My lift was just as good as it ever was. I mean, it's like, okay, of course God can move, so I didn't delete the last set playlist, just FYI, but I experienced exactly what you're talking about. Sean, did you have something to add?
Oh, you were just saying last night, like when we were all at Carrie's house last night, we did a game night. Some of us brought our kids, some of us didn't because you guys have smaller kids like Taylor and Tyler. But we brought our kids. We had like, 7 or 8 kids.
Yes.
9 kids between a couple of us families. And when you were saying, Carrie, you were like, yeah, this is so great for your kids to see you. Everybody here laughing and we were hysterically laughing, playing funny games.
Yep.
And for the kids to see that, because Carrie was saying that, like, him growing up or seeing like dad or parents drinking, and there's always a 12-pack involved with that laughter. Well, last night Carrie was saying like there's no alcohol here. It was like we're having laughter without all that, and the kids are seeing that. And it's like for a lot of guys, and for us, we were raised around a big family function of grandparents or parents that had marijuana or alcohol around, and that was just prevalent. But like for our kids, that last night, like you mentioned that, Carrie, that look at your kids are seeing us have such a good time with just complete funny, goofy games.
That was the highlight of the night for me. Like they're watching like their parents just like laughing to where they can't like breathe. Like that is so good. Like the world can tell you need to do all these other things to have a good time, but when you witness that pure joy that only God can give, you're like, yeah, no, the world's lost. Like they're crazy. I don't need that. So yeah, that's a great point. That was a good one. All right, Kelly, RPG. You were sharing with me that you started something really cool. I'd like you to share. This is actually, this is a testimony.
I suppose it could be.
Yeah.
It's not yet a testimony. It's going to become one.
That's right. God's kind of called you into something. Yeah.
Yeah. So
share for people that don't know RPG. We know RPG, but for those that maybe, listening, they're like, what is RPG?
We're just a training company that does training in firearms and self-defense and protection, and we do situational awareness and de-escalation communication seminars and things like this, but anything under the umbrella of protection or defense.
Rogue Protection Group.
But what I have felt a certain calling to be doing something, and I can't really explain why I've been feeling this way, but the Lord gave me this platform for some reason. Like RPG, I stepped back almost 2 years ago and completely got away from it and let one of my other instructors just run it. Mm-hmm. As we've been doing this and as I've been getting closer to God and closer with you guys, I've felt this need to start back up. But what I'm doing, I'm changing my focus. What I'm trying to do now is we're building a network of warrior biblical leadership in men. Because what we don't have, like we talk about at Game Changers, we don't have biblical leadership to begin with. But we also talk about we don't have good men leadership. Like It doesn't just have to be in one department, right? In my department, dealing with warriors and training, and like that's the mindset that we're trying to set in these men, or that's what they're seeking out. We're trying to take that mindset and use it to build good biblical leadership, a network of good biblical leadership in men, and a way for them to come together, kind of like what we do in our small groups, but network them to each other, because a lot of these people are all over the state and all over the West Coast, and being able to put them in contact with other guys that are really starting their journey or midway through their journey and hooking them up. And in that, using that warrior mindset, we really talk about what the warriors of old were like, right? Because we've gotten so far away from what warrior cultures used to be like, as far as understanding what the warrior creeds and codes and all of that stuff used to be, was all about compassion and all of this stuff that has gone away. Most people think now a warrior has to be some rigid, rough man who doesn't care about anything and just wants to destroy everything. And that's actually the opposite of what a warrior is supposed to be, right? Like, the highest form of strength in a warrior is to preserve all life, right? And if I can save someone's life while still winning the fight, like, that's the epitome of strength. And trying to encourage these values in these guys and help them genuinely understand what it means to be a warrior and to be a leader and to be biblical in your leadership. We're trying to really mold this into some new thing that we're creating.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. God's going to do a work in that. Genesis 2:15, it says, the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and keep it. It's easy to read through those and just kind of gloss over it, but the words work it and keep it have much deeper meaning than just probably us looking as work and keeping it. It's actually this idea that we would make our environment around us better and we would protect it. You guys have probably heard people pray about a hedge of protection. You guys have heard that word, we pray for a hedge of protection. Sometimes it can kind of be a joke. People are like, what does a hedge of protection look like? Well, that's where this term comes from, is Genesis 2:15. When it says to work it and keep it, it means to actually build a hedge of protection. And so also behind that hedge, in that environment, you're making it better. And so what you're talking about doing with RPG is creating warriors that actually make things around them better. And that's gospel. That's what we as men are called to do, is protect things and make it better than what it was before.
It's so interesting that you bring that up, because like that immediately, the thought that pops in my head when you read that is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of destroying, instead of bringing that spirit of death, we want to be those that bring life. So, all right. Parting shots before we go. Anybody have a final word?
Well, just what we were talking about right there just makes me think of, again, the service this morning and that definition of a man and a boy, or a boy versus a man.
Yes.
And a boy takes and a man gives. And I think along the same lines of a warrior, a biblical man leader mindset is a boy destroys and a man builds, because it's so much easier to destroy things. It takes minimal effort and it comes natural to destroy things. I think about my son, my daughters will build a Lego castle or something, and his first instinct as a 2-year-old boy is come over and crash it and knock it down, and he gets great laughter out of it. But he's a little boy. Little boys naturally destroy things. But as you become a man, or when you become a man, hopefully people do. That's a problem we have going on right now, is people aren't taking that next step. You have to build family, build community. You have to build things. And to take that takes giving of yourself. You can't take and build at the same time. It doesn't work.
That's right. The message that Tyler is referring to is this Sunday's message, October 19th, 2025. Pastor Matt is going through the book of Ephesians, chapter 5, and he addresses kind of what's happened with young men in our culture. There is a great book I would add to it. I highly recommend listening to that message. I would also recommend, if you're interested in this topic, a book called The War Against Boys. It was written in 2001, and it is not written by a Christian. It's actually written by a female professor at a pretty big school. I want to say maybe Stanford. She is a self-proclaimed feminist, and she outlines how culture is not geared towards young men being successful. She, with crazy accuracy, predicted things that are happening in 2025 from 2021. She did a revision in 2013. The War Against Boys, highly recommend it. In fact, you guys will, except for Sean. Yeah, boys, read it. Even Sean, it would be good for you to read, because you're going to have daughters, and understanding what a godly young man is so important for young girls. And so I think some guys are like, oh, well, my guy's little, or I don't have a boy yet. No. it's super important to be aware of all that stuff. All right. I just had a thought. We need to do a podcast where we have our wives on here. Maybe we just bring like Sean and Amy on for one, Taylor and Morgan on, Trista and Kelly, and then Tyler and Nicole. That would be a fun episode to have. We could just have them come on and talk about how amazing we are as husbands. I think that would be a good high ratings for that show. All right. Thanks for tuning in to the Hunt the Lion podcast. We'll catch you again next week. I want to give a huge shout out and a thank you to our team of producers. Cameron, thank you to Cameron. Keeping us hydrated, keeping everything flowing here in the studio. Also, Nathaniel Duarte. He's also got a podcast that's run through Edgewater called Jesus is the Deep End. Check that out. Hunter Jones and Josh Cunningham. Thank you to all of them. And thank you guys to listening. And we will catch you next time on Hunt the Lion. God bless.